everybody, I'm Tiffany from Cards with Tiffany, and you're now at our third video in our series for the Workshop Your Way Father's Day card making kit featuring the Jack paper. And here's the card that we're going to make today. So this card, I've taken the idea that Close to My Heart did and kind of, changed it up, make it my own again. I added in the additional piece of the white daisy here. I don't like stamping directly onto my card base, so I added that. We got our twine, we got some foam, tape foam in there, some embossing, our doodling, and our dots. This is a great card, a birthday card for a kid, a male. Anyways, I love this color combination. So now if you're looking for any of the dimensionals, any of the cutting guides, materials used, that will be on my website, cardswithtiffany.weebly.com. Go to the tab that says WYW, and that's for Workshop Your Way, and you'll find your printable, downloadable PDF there. So once again, we're going to start with our stamping and our embossing. So grab my piece of white daisy here, and I'm going to grab my scrap paper. Get that on there, and we're going to do that with our lagoon. So grab our lagoon, and we're going to need our Versamark, and we're going to need our powder, and of course we're going to need our anti-static bag. Give that a quick rub. There. Now, as I'm setting this up, remember you're going to lay your stamp down and then pick it up with your block. Now I find if you're making all these cards at once, if I ink it up and I want to make my second card, clean off your stamp. If not, you're going to get your lagoon back into your Versamark. So I ink this up in my Versamark, and then I ink it up in my lagoon. I want to get both really covered well. I want that color to be nice and vibrant and bright, especially when we heat emboss it. And we're going to stick that right in the center. Awesome. Okay, and we're going to take our Versamark, our powder, and sprinkle it over where we did the Versamark part. And give it a few flicks. And now we're going to clean up here, get rid of our inks. And we're going to dump the powder back into it so we don't waste any and it lasts us even longer, because this stuff lasts long as it is. Now I'm going to bring in my heat tool, and remember, if you can use tweezers if you'd like. I find these pieces are big enough that I can get my fingers and then turn it around so that they're not getting heated. So I'll warm up my heat tool, bring it in contact with the paper, and let the magic happen. Look at that turn. I hope the way I have this angle that you can really see when it turns. I don't want my fingers to get burnt there. Wow. I'm also going to hit it from the back just to help with the distortion. And there we are. So don't touch it right away. Still a little warm, still a little wet. Let that dry. And in the meantime, we're going to get a little bit more stamping done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ruby ink, and we're going to do some stars. So I'm going to start with my little star, and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to ink that up, and we're going to do that right on this piece, and I'm going to do it as close as I can to the edge over here, just like that. I'm going to bring in a scrap of our white daisy. I'm going to ink up the other star, and we're going to cut this one up, make it pop. So I'm going to just do it down there. And if you can notice sometimes that I like to leave my stamp down, I'm just letting that transfer. I don't do the quick. I want it to transfer all the ink. So that's why I tend to sometimes leave it down a bit more. And finally, we're going to need our black. We are going to stamp the diagonal call it diagonal line along the bottom of it. It's the best that we can do. So grab my block here, maybe do it like that, ink it up in the black. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but we can do the best that we can do. So I want to do it as close as to the top as I can. If it comes off a bit of the paper, and right now the camera is right where I want my head to be, so it's okay. Not quite there, but it's good. We can work with it. So that's what we want to have. So now we have all of our stamping done. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out the star. You can leave a bit of a white if you want. I'm not. Very simple to cut out. And we're going to pop this up off the card. That's why we're doing that. If you don't, you could just stamp it on your card as well. Make sure though, if you're stamping on the card, not to stamp it half on this and half on your card base, because you'll see you're not going to get the full image. You're going to have a line. So now that I have that cut, we're going to take our journaling pen and we're going to do our line around the outside. And I'm going to stop when I come close to my star there. I don't want it to go over that. And it's really going to make this middle pop. Wait till you get on the card how much it's going to pop. So there. So now we're going to set those aside, cut up there, because we're done with those for at the meantime. Now I got all these other little pieces that I'm going to bring in. I got one more here. So I got 2 pieces of lagoon. I got 2 of the plaid and 1 of the white red. So we're going to dovetail all of them. And the best and easiest way I think to do it is make a cut up the center and then take your corners up to where that cut end. And you have a dovetail. And you know what? If it's not perfect, I don't really think you're going to really notice it. That's the best part of doing it this way. I find, you know, you do the best. And I think it never fails me. Now unless I go way over here, but maybe that's the style you want. And we've got 2 more to do. Oh, flying pieces and our last white red. So then we're going to need to bring in our card base. So I bring in my card base and we're giving that a fold. I still have not found my bone folder, so we're just going to have to make do for the time being. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and this is what I mean. See how it's going to be both there. If you stamp your star on there, it's not going to look right. So, you know, either stamp it on here or stamp it on there. Don't stamp it on both. It's not going to turn out right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my biggest piece, which is the white red, and I'm going to kind of hold it up to here so I can just kind of have a rough idea. I want a bit of a space down there, not too much, where I'm going to stick that. Where we heat embossed it, I'm going to take my rolly tape and heat it and I hair it down like so. I find I get a much better stick with that. So I stick that down about there. And next we're going to glue on all these. I'm going to use my liquid glue for this just so that I can line them up. And we're going to start with our bigger piece of the plaid. And this one I want to line up on this end, like so. And I'm going to take my lagoon, the bigger lagoon, and we're going to stick it to the other end. And we're going to work our way inwards, kind of like we did on our second card. And next we're going to take our white red piece. And we're going to butt it up to the lagoon. And we're going to take our other lagoon piece. I like saying the word lagoon. It's a fun word to say. And we're going to stick this one so that the point or the inside there is lined up with the plaid, and it will stick over onto your white red. And then we're going to take our small plaid and we're going to put that one over, but we want the center of this one to be on the white red, just like so. There, our card is coming well along. We're going to get back out our journaling pen, and I don't know if you can see how well this pops. Now we want to frame the rest and make that pop. You could do the straight lines, but I'm going to change it up a bit just to show you another idea with the doodling. And we're going to do lines and dots. So I'm going to start up here in the corner. I'm going to draw my line, and when I stop, I'm going to do a dot dot. It's kind of like a smiley face, dot dot, without the actual smile. I'm going to continue my line here and stop and dot dot. Now you can make these lines as short as long as you like. On my other card I did more shorter lines. This one I'm going to do a bit longer. So all it is, line, dot dot. And just change it up, give it a little bit of a different border. And there we go. Look how much that pops. Really brings in the color. Just a few more things we got to do. We're going to bring in our twine, and we're going to take our liquid glue, and you could use glue dots. I think my liquid glue works the best, whatever works best for you. And I'm going to do a very little line just above where we put our banners. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay this in the glue, I'm not meeting it up at the edge, it's kind of in the middle, and I'm going to lay that across just like so. Kind of tap it down, I don't want the glue to stick out. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut this end down here. So there. So we're going to let that dry for a few minutes, and while we're doing that, we're going to take our foam tape, and this is the thinner of the two. Close My Heart has two of them, a thin and a thick, so I'm using the thinner. I just find it easier for mailing purposes in the mail with the thin. You can definitely use the thick. We're just going to put that in the middle of our star, and we're going to stick that up here. A little bit of dimension there. And we're going to bring in our white dots, and we're going to use a medium, and we're going to stick it down on our lagoon banner, and we're going to stick a tiny one just above it. And there we are. Now if you would like, just carefully, you can kind of fray these ends a little just to, I just like the way that the fray looks. And there we are. We have our third card in our series. Make sure you subscribe. Don't want to miss out on that fourth card that we're going to make in the series. I enjoyed making this card with you today, and we hope to see you for our fourth and final card. Happy card making.